Hello everyone. I'd like to tell you about some of the vehicles I've owned. Some are silly, some are sensible. Not many of them though, that's for sure. This time I'm going to talk about my 1955 Land Rover Series 1 short wheelbase 86 inch. My original 80-inch Land Rover Series 1 had been troublesome for some time, and such is the way of these things. A classified advertisement had caught my eye. Offered for sale therein was a 1955 Series 1 short 86 inches wheelbase model, and it was relatively local to me. I arranged to borrow a covering sum from my mum while I got around to selling my old Land Rover and headed off to see the new beast. Sitting on 750/16 tyres and fresh pert springs, it was a monster truck compared to my old tub. Of course, I fell in love instantly, agreed to make the purchase, and once insurance cover had been sourced, I headed back to pick up the Land Rover, which was registered VSK 200. It had been built by the bloke selling it with the intention of turning it into a true off-roader, but this had not materialised, and so it had fitted a 2.25 litres petrol power plant from a later machine. It featured a riveted together one-piece bonnet hinged at the bulkhead, offering superb access to the engine bay and all the other giblets that were hanging around there. The only disadvantage to this was that I had to carry a broom handle bonnet prop. I carried it wherever I went because that bonnet often needed to be raised. It was a superb machine, but not without its problems. During its first week with me, I went to move away from a standing start while I was on Kingsheath High Street in Birmingham, and nothing happened apart from the engine revved. I'd snapped a half shaft in the rear axle. However, the car being a four-wheel drive, I was able to engage this feature and drive home on the slightly baggy front axle transmission. It was also the vehicle which suffered the most unusual violation that any of my cars has ever suffered before. I often left it parked on the driveway overnight, outside of Flat D, 46 Portland Road in Edgbaston, where I had lived for many years. With its canvas tilt removed and stored inside, it was always safe on there. You may think this risky, but the canvas was hardly the most secure of mediums, and in any case, it avoided that most heinous of crimes, the slash and grab. One morning, just before loading up and heading off to a performance with my band, Pop Will Eat Itself, at the Phoenix Festival just outside Stratford-upon-Avon, I headed down with the first of my bags, eager for the off and a few shenanigans. There was the Land Rover sitting without its canvas tilt on the driveway, as often was the case. But this time, I'd felt sure that I'd left it with its roof in place. In readiness for a few days camping backstage, of course I'd left that roof on. But I thought, well, I've made a mistake. So I headed back inside to go and retrieve it. The problem was that the roof was not inside my house, nor was it on the Land Rover. Some flipping blighter had pinched it. This left me with a problem. I hadn't time to head to John Craddock's in Cannock to obtain a new roof, and so I had to ask a friend to head there, pick one up for me, and then bring it over to the festival, as I was due on stage that afternoon. This he duly did, despite not being able to gain entry to the festival for his efforts. So thank you, Steve. I owe you one for that. As an aside, the amateur footy team in which a couple of the band members played was looking for a name for their newly formed football side. One of them took a shine to my Land Rover's registration number, and so the side became known as VSK 200. Alas, the birth of my second-born child was the final nail in the coffin for the old tub, which wasn't seeing much use, as it hadn't a seatbelt in the rear for my eldest. And so it was sold for £200. The bloke who bought it from me must still be laughing to this day. He saw me coming.